Okay, so today we're going to talk about lines in the plane, P.4, lines in the plane. And this is definitely all review. You have done this before, okay? You have done this before. So let's look at lines. Let's look at lines in the plane. Lines in the plane. The first thing we're going to talk about is the slope. Okay? Slope. Can anybody tell me what the slope of a line is? Brady.
Yes.
What is the slope of a line?
It's rise over run.
Slope of the line is rise over run, he says. Do I have anybody who took mid-high math 2 or pre-algebra with me in this class?
Yes, Mr. On, I remember.
Yes.
Rise.
Rise over run. Okay. So that's what we're talking about here. Rise, the y, this is the y, over the run, where the run is the x. So we have delta y over delta x. This is the slope, okay? This is the slope. So if I have a line that looks like this and I have 2 points here, the rise is going to be, if this is x2, y2, this guy is x1, y1, the rise is how much I went up or down in the y direction, okay? Remember, rise, the y, okay? So we're gonna have y2 minus y1 over the run. The run is the x. In the x direction, the change of the x direction is the run. So rise over the run. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so that in a nutshell is the slope of the line. Okay, so if I had 2 points, I can just put them in and I can find the slope of the line, right? Okay, so we're going to do that. Let's go ahead. And so this would give me what? What is the slope generally represented by? Which variable? Anybody shout it out?
M.
M. M is the slope, right? Because when I say y is equal to mx plus b, okay, this is known as the slope intercept form, correct? This is the slope intercept form, where this guy is the slope. This guy is the y-intercept, right? The y-intercept, okay? So that is the line in a slope-intercept form. Now there are 2 other forms that we are going to talk about today. First one being the point-slope form. So we have also, so we just did the slope-intercept form. The other one is the point-slope form. And if you look at page 29 in the middle, there's a blue box that shows the equation. Okay, so this is the point-slope form. So this was the slope-intercept form. This is the point-slope form. It's called the point-slope form because what? This has a slope of m and it goes to the point x1, y1, right? x1, y1, okay? That's what it goes through. Right? So let's look at example number 2 and see if we can utilize this in a question. Example number 2, use the point-slope form to find an equation of a line that passes through the point -3, -4, and has a slope of 2, where the slope is 2. So I'll just go ahead and put it in here. So I have y minus 4 is equal to slope x minus -3. So that would be the answer. So here's a kind of important point. If I asked you to find the line about whatever it is, okay, you can leave it as this, okay? Do not feel the urge or fall into the temptation to try to make this into something that looks like this. There is no need to. This is a perfectly acceptable answer. Okay? Now, if you wanted to put it in slope-intercept form, you would go like this. So we would have, this is going to be equal to 2x plus 6, where y is going to be equal to 2x. You would move the 4 over, plus 2, correct? So this line here is the same line as this. The problem is this: when I tell you not, and when I don't tell you to do it, and you voluntarily try to do this, and you make a mistake, guess what? This is no longer correct. You do not have the correct answer, right? So it's a self-defeating move to have to try to do this, okay? So in other words, do not fall into the temptation to having to put this into this kind of form, because this is what you guys have been drilled in for so long, okay? You always think that you have to get to here to make it a line. That is not true. This is a perfectly acceptable form of a line, okay? Okay, so here we go, move over. We talked about the slope-intercept form, we did that, okay. So there's one more form of the line, and that is called the general or / the standard form. Okay, so the general or the standard form, your book calls it the, what do they call it here? The general form. So in here, they're going to call it the general form. And that form looks like this. Okay? So a general form would be 4x plus 3y is equal to 12. Okay? Something like this, right? Okay. Well, why do we have the general form? Okay. Slope-intercept form is pretty obvious why we have this, because this automatically gives you the slope and the intercept. Okay. The efficacy or the reason why we have the point slope form is, again, I don't know the slope right off the bat, and I have a point that it goes through. Okay? The general form, the reason why I have this is very easy to draw a line. Okay? And the reason why it's easy is this. If you look at this equation, okay, I can find out what the y-intercept is without it really having to do much, right? The y-intercept happens when x is equal to 0. So in this equation, x is going to be equal to 0. This goes away. So what do I have left? I have 3y is equal to 12, which means that y is going to be equal to 4. Okay? And then if I want the x-intercept, that happens when y is equal to 0. So y goes away. I have 4x is equal to 12, which means that x is going to be equal to 3. 3. I'm done. So can you see how easy it is to draw that line? This is why we have the general form. So there are 3 separate forms. Okay. And on the bottom of page 30, there is a blue box which depicts those 3 forms. Okay. Through. Okay, so let's see if we can do example number 4. Let's do example number 4. Example number 4, draw the graph of 2x plus 3y. We just did this. Well, something similar to actually 2x plus 3y, right? So again, I go like this. And your book has it the long way to do it. So we're not going to do the long way. We're going to do the short way. The y-intercept happens when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 2. X-intercept happens when y is equal to 0, 2x is equal to 3, 2x is equal to 6, which means that x is equal to 3. And that's your answer. Okay? Are there any questions? Are there any questions of what we talked about so far? Okay, if there aren't any questions, I'm going to